Recording in progress.
Well, guys and girls, welcome to a quick 10-15 minutes video on the Angry Plumbers Christmas toy appeal. So I thought, rather than bombard TikTok with hundreds of videos and people start getting bored and saying, oh, I'm sick of seeing Tam and I'm sick of seeing the videos. So I thought I would come on, do a 10-15 minute video on the gifts that we've received so far and talk about the GoFundMe, where the GoFundMe is going to go, what we're going to do with it and who's possibly going to benefit. Also, give you a wee little insight to why I'm doing what I'm doing and the reasons behind it as well, like the reasons behind doing it. So, hey, buckle up. So, as you know, I've started a GoFundMe and an Amazon wish list. Now, Amazon wish lists are normally not my thing. I thought, here, I've gave people a lot of stick about doing these Amazon wish lists, but I've always said that the wish list should be for people who could benefit from them and not a form of payment. So therefore, I started the Christmas toy appeal, sadly, after I took a 2-week break from doing these podcasts due to my wife losing her father. Well, she was on holiday, which was kind of distraught for her because she learnt that going down there and my heart was broken for her because, one, I couldn't be there. Two, obviously, my kids didn't know their biological grandfather because the grandfather I got now is all they've ever known and all they could ever want. But it doesn't take away the fact that that man was my wife's father. So anybody else who follows my journey on TikTok and social media, or even personally, you'll know me that I suffer from a chronic, an hereditary illness called FAP and Lynch syndrome, which is a form of bowel, intestine and colon cancer, which could hit you at any stage from starting early puberty, right up into your 30s, and you need to get them checked properly. Camera down the throat, camera off somewhere you can imagine, and it's probably more difficult for young children because, as myself, I was messed around by the doctors in the hospital. So sadly, because it was inherited, my daughter inherited it while obviously she was born, and when she was 8 we had her tested for it and it was confirmed. She's my double, so it was always knew who it was going to be. But while she was away, she started getting symptoms, and we figured out it's better earlier than later to go down that road and see about getting these symptoms alleviated or managed. It starts off as just pure polyps. It doesn't start off as cancer. As you can imagine, tumours need to form, polyps need to grow and either metastasize or go out through the body. So it could go from the stomach to the colon, to the intestines, to the rectum. So sadly, like my daughter was in during this week, and see this, the support, guys. Thank you so much for the support that you showed me on social media and off social media was amazing. I got slightly overwhelmed, so I had to step back and take a little bit of time about myself. I have been slightly more angrier in my personal life this month, due to the fact that people were hurting around me, and I don't like people hurting around me because I like to take the hurt myself. I could deal better with personal hurt than those you can't control. No one should have cancer, no one should be affected by cancer, but it is, and it happens, and especially kids shouldn't. So touching on that the kid was a lot better at handling it than me telling her about it, so I could take a positive from that. So that's why we've had a 2-week break on the podcast. So after this video, we are looking at a few, not just creators on social media, people off social media who have made themselves a business, a successful business, addictions, who have had cancer, possibly HIV, and also veterans as well, because these are all charities that are dear to my heart. I do believe if you follow a charity, if you follow any given situation, you give it your all, there's nothing better than doing a nice, warm, gentle thing for someone and not taking payment in return for it. You will get a feeling of accomplishment that you won't get that cash could give you. Anyone could hand you cash, no one could give, and hardly anyone could give you their time for free. So doing that and helping people is the main priority of this Christmas toy appeal. The charities that will hopefully benefit and the local community will be the Dundee and the surrounding areas. But if it's urgency enough and it's urgent enough, we will travel to help those. We are saying it's not just new toys that we will take. If anything is in good condition, we will do what we can to upload it like a laptop or something. We will do our best to get that picked up and distributed to those who need it. There is charities in my local area, but I done this a couple of years ago, and the local charity that I picked was a well-organised one in Dundee, put it that way. I won't name them because it's still a charity. And what I done was I done the exact same what I'm doing now, but I didn't use it on social media. I just went around businesses and colleagues and work colleagues and business colleagues and shops and takeaways and stuff, and we were all donated a lot of stuff there. I handed it in with personalised Santa sacks, and where I'm from in Kirton, I seen people getting it who I knew personally were playing the system, and I vowed then never ever to do it again, because it didn't seem right to me that there is people out there in care, being adopted, being fostered into these homes where they aren't getting anything. They're just in there purely for the money, and they're going to wake up Christmas Day with nothing. No child or teenager should wake up on Christmas Day with nothing, not even a gift, not even a card. Growing into myself, I don't want to touch on it too much because I've agreed to do stuff on other platforms to the reason why I'm doing this, but it only came out recently after my mum passed away that I felt that I was able to talk and say that even my wife only just found this out, that when I was growing up, because we didn't want to burden my family members when my mum was seriously ill, because you have to remember this is an inherited illness that I've got. She had that to give me, so her ailments caught up with her at times, and there was times where she felt a burden to the family and she didn't want to push that onto the family. So we, for 6 months, went and looked for respite carers. Now, respite care is completely different to normal care. Respite care is, you find someone, you go through a certain amount of stages, you find a carer that is adapted to your needs, who you get on with, who are on an emotional level, not physical, obviously, of course, but you've got to get on with them. So that went through months and months of, no like training or anything, but just going as a group with my mum, my brother, because they split us up in my respite care. So my brother went to someone who fulfilled his needs, like activities and stuff, and I went to another one. And it wasn't really just, oh, you're coming off your mum, you're coming off your parent and your siblings. It was an agreed thing. So say on a Monday night I felt like my mum was too ill and school was getting too much, I would just phone up after agreeing with my mum about the respite care and saying, can I go to the respite care tomorrow, or can I go to the respite care at the weekend? So it was one of those things that was completely different from care, but it was still a form of care. So seeing people in care, because I was around that community, I used to do all the camps, discovery camp and stuff like that. They were all very religious related, but the people who were doing it were religious as well. But it didn't seem to bother me at the time, because I was making new connections, meeting new people, and went out, done all these things, and grew a connection with one of the adult not instructors, but adult support workers from Barnardos, and got along perfect. And that's one of my respite carers was a volunteer through Barnardos. And sadly, though, over the years, we lost contact in that. But I've always stuck in the back of my mind, seeing people and hearing people on Christmas Day not getting anything. And these respite carers would go out and spend their own money. Now, there is some respite carers who get paid, but there is some as well who just do it voluntary because they're retired and need something to do. These people were going out their way to make sure my friends had a Christmas. And it wasn't just like the best of toys and stuff like that. Money wasn't an object with these people, but it was the small gifts of the thought that went into them that they would keep forever. And some of them probably have kept them forever, but the first Christmas that I spent, I wasn't away from my mum, because we spent Christmas with my mum, and we went to the respite carers after that, like during the Christmas holidays, and that was our pretend Christmas. And seeing in this establishment people getting no presents, it was heartbreaking, and that's always stuck with me. I don't know if my brother had the same experience, because we did have different respite carers, and I always thought I didn't want to ask him and he didn't want to ask me, so we just left it there. But we all did meet up at points, like I said. It wasn't taking the kid off the parent and you're never going to see them again, or your parent done bad things. It was purely just for a health reason, to give my mum time to recover and recuperate from her illnesses. So that's Barnardos. Some of these gifts, and from United Skates, just to say, United Skates, the fly fifer James gave us 5 pairs of 2 to 3 roller skates and admission per skate for 4 people for his roller discos at the end of the month in Dundee. Now, I thought that was an absolute amazing thing, because this guy doesn't know me from Adam, knows me off of TikTok, went out his way to order these skates. They are, like I say, they're 2 to 3, so we'll have to find people to fit them, make sure they fit them. So that's the Barnardos cover, because I know Barnardos does work in the local area. I'm not going to go into the Barnardos shop and say, here's all these toys, could you make sure they get distributed? I've got a contact within Barnardos that I know I can't get names and stuff, but I do know, and I trust this guy, that if I went in and says to him, I've got 3 pairs of skates there, could you make sure they get to a family who have kids or teens with size 2 to 3. Now, you have to be a very small team to be in a size 2 to 3. But you know what I'm saying, that like, I'm not just going to go and hand them into a shop and hope someone in the local area gets them. The other 2 pairs I know from people who are vulnerable, and I'll source them out to them. The other charities are HIV charities in my area, local charities, not HIV, the big main charity for World AIDS Day. As the localized ones in my area. I'll go into that in a little bit later, a little bit of detail later, and you'll get why I'm picking the HIV one. Also, as well, we were going to be looking at the local children's hospital for the cancer wards, cancer patients, because, like I said, with being in there with my daughter, that gave me the mindset of seeing these kids fighting for their life. They've got no responsibility, no care in the world, yet they're going to grow up with so much strength once they beat this illness that they're just going to sit and they'll not worry about gifts or something, but it's the thought of giving someone a gift and they didn't expect it, or they're in hospital fighting for their life. Christmas Day, all they get is a hospital meal. And especially just now with the pandemic, because you're only allowed 1 parent in to stay with the child. So that would mean a lot, but I'll also as well go to the hospital and say, because they'll have a list, they'll know who's vulnerable, and then go out to the wider communities, go to the community centres. I'm going to go in there and ask. Obviously, they can't give me names, they can't give me addresses because of the privacy laws, but rather than going to individual big charities and asking, could you hand these out to people in my local area who I know won't get it? So I'm going to do the legwork there. I've also got a wee kind of celebrity Iron Brew man on TikTok. He's been amazing from the moment we started this whole journey and doing the Angry Plumber podcast. He just went out his way to offer support and help. And I said, even having you on board's enough. He said, no, Tam. He said, I don't just want to help. He said, I want to do something. So he's been going out daily, emailing, going to businesses, and he's even offered to come out and help us deliver the toys and get families involved and get them toys to them for Christmas Day. And also as well, he's going to be doing things off his own back that I endorsed, and I will gladly take on board and help him in any way that I can. Also, we've got Scottish Daydreamer from TikTok, who amazingly got us a box. What can I say? So we've got some fidget spinners. Fidget spinners. Fidgets again. A wee like kaleidoscope wildlife torch thing. Foot finder and a wrist rattle, obviously for a baby, unless you're going to be a fetish there. A classic Lego and a home jewellery kit. And there's also more to come as well. So Naomi, Scottish Daydreamer and family, thank you very much. I was a shock when all that come through. Didn't think it would be so massive, but it's well appreciated, and it's the thought that counts, guys. I could have put gifts on there worth 40, 50 pound and stuff, and it just come over to me, and I would have said, here, if I seen on anybody else's wish list, I would have said that's a bit of money grabbing, because what we are wanting here, we're wanting to help as many as possible. We don't want to just help 5 people and say, oh, there's a computer game, there's a computer, there's an iPad and stuff like that. That's no. This is what I think that I would want if it was me. Yeah, kids want the latest technology and stuff, but when you're waking up on Christmas Day with nothing, the thought of getting something, that's, to me, that means a lot more than money. Money can't buy that feeling. So this Scottish daydreamer and Naomi and her family. So thank you very much, guys. Like I said, we'll touch on things. So I'm not going to give you away too much about me because I'm doing other podcasts just now that I'm going to be involved in, and I want to kind of help people go to these things. So the World's AIDS Day and the HIV charities for me are very, very personal because I was in an era where I was growing up in Kirton and Dundee, where HIV was vastly becoming the normal thing in Dundee for a while. But there was stigma. The stigma was, oh yeah, you had to be gay to have HIV, or you had to be a drug user to have HIV, which is very not true. That isn't the norm. As anyone, any background, in any scenario can catch HIV. You don't need to be a drug user. You don't need to be a homosexual person to have this. And there isn't any stigma for it. And I fought for years because my friends and their family had HIV. And personally, someone in my life had HIV, which involved me, and not myself personally, guys and girls, just loved ones, which involved me into that, going out and helping World's AIDS Day for charity work and stuff like that. So seeing kids in those areas, yeah, there was people with HIV who were drug users and were homosexual, but telling you now, they were amazing people. They were amazing in the sense of, if you asked them for your last 10 pence or you asked them for support, they would have gave you it. Some people who will support you in life will only support you because they get something out of it. See, when someone supports you for the fact that they're a friend and they get nothing out of it, that is a true friendship and a bond that you should cherish. Because I do that with my friends. I like helping friends. I like helping people and knowing that I'm not doing it for cash. I'm not doing it for fame or, oh, thanks. Sometimes actually I don't like too much praise, because the other day I was getting too much praise on Facebook and I just had social media and TikTok, so I had to come off. And I was like, I can't handle that, because a friend touched on it on his podcast and a video on TikTok saying that he couldn't process praise because he didn't have that much. Now, I had praise from my mum. I always had praise from my mum. Now, whether I even failed, I always got praise from my mum. And it used to be in the sense of, even if I was fighting someone, I'd be like, you fucking better hit him or I'm going to hit you. If you didn't knock him out, I'm going to hit you. So just stuff like that. But growing up, and when I got to like a teenager and you were going along to, say, army cadets and stuff, you would never get praise when you've done something good. You only got shouted at when you've done something wrong. So I even followed me into the workplace, because when I was an apprentice, I was a great apprentice. Don't blow my own horn. I was a great apprentice. I got apprentice of the year every year for 3 years on the trot, but I was a cheeky apprentice. And I was that cheek, but I was good at taking the cheek. I was good at giving the cheek, but luckily I was good at my work. So on that note, this is the reason why I am where I am. I'm so confrontational because I get passionate about things. I get passionate about doing this. I get passionate about this podcast. And when I get passionate, sometimes when someone hurts that passion, I'll start to go for the throat. And it does seem like everybody, we're seeing Angry Plumber all the time on TikTok. Now, Angry Plumber was a persona and is a persona, and it's really just for ranting. This is what I like to do. I like to surprise people, because when you see people, they're like, oh, you don't sound anything like you do on the videos. You don't look like you do on the videos. How come you're so happy, and how come you're helping people? And what the angry was at one point was me. I was angry at one point because it was pent up anger. I was keeping anger in because people were using me. And when I got the niche of starting to help people, that's when I felt better in myself. So going on to these next presents. Now, these are from a guy he originally didn't want to be thanked, because he said he only done it for the kids. He said the thought of a kid waking up on Christmas Day with nothing terrified him, because they'd been in a situation similar probably, and I didn't want to delve into it because that was his personal story, and if he wanted to tell me things he would have, but he did ask to remain anonymous online, but I kind of dragged it out of him to give him a special thank you. So this one is for Raymond Campbell. This box, whoa. So Raymond got a mixture box of retro sweeties, all sealed so they can last till Christmas. an LCD writing pad, so obviously like for a kid who's learning to write or draw, jewellery kit, another make your own homemade jewellery kit, which is brilliant. It seems to be all the fashion nowadays, and wow, can't thank them enough. And somebody's going to love this, a Nerf gun. Nerf guns are rare just now. Everybody's shooting them about. So Raymond Campbell, mate, thank you so much again. And this guy, guys and girls, from the start, as soon as I put the video up, he messages, what can I do? I want to do something, I'm helping. And his family, and especially his mum, do a lot as well. So I like to thank them, thank him and his family for an amazing gift there. Gifts. And the gifts are still coming, guys and girls. There are going to be more here tomorrow, over the weekend, and in the course of next week. So the charities we're going to be covering are Barnardos, a local HIV charity for obviously kids either affected by HIV and AIDS or who have HIV and AIDS and in possible care. Cancer charities, like I'll go up to the cancer wards and we'll see what we can do there, but it's going to be localised. There is also a cracking woman in Dundee called Jill from the Shack Street Food. And one of my followers on TikTok mentioned going to see this lady, and I've seen her and I've offered her services before when I was doing my plumbing company. Someone was dying with cancer in Dundee, and I said if they've needed a bathroom or that done for purely adaptations, that I'll offer to do it for free and the materials. And ever since then, me and Gillian's been amazing. So I'll be going there, seeing Gillian, seeing who she could recommend. I've always said I will not be filming the recipients of these gifts. I think recording someone like that who may have pride and pride may be hurting, I don't want to be putting a camera in front of their face. As if they want to see me in person. If not, we could do it through a third party. But I'll always make sure these go to the right person. Now the GoFundMe that was set up, GoFundMe, man, £500 we've done it in 5 days. Amazing. And again, the person, Craig Campbell, this guy is amazing. He started the biggest donation on there. So I felt that it was only right that I go through and me and Craig buy the donations and the gifts and the toys off his donation together, and we can record that and we'll fire that up as well. Now, Craig Campbell, if you don't follow him, head on over to TikTok, Craig Campbell SEO. He's also a budding actor, and he's quite a good wee comedian actor as well. And he's good at roasting some trolls. But we've got a lot of help coming up, a lot of help. But the GoFundMe money will be going, now we've hit a milestone, I'll be taking that out at the end of the month, and we'll do the video. I'm going through to Glasgow on the 13th of November, so we'll be keeping money back from that Craig donated, going through, doing the donations, going out, getting them video in it, having a couple of pints on the way home, just having a laugh, giving some personal time with me. And not that I'm a celebrity or that, just I think someone making a donation of that size, or anyone making a donation, if anybody wants to see me and spend the day going and spending their donation, they're more than welcome. I will happily go and do whatever's needed to be done to make sure kids and teenagers and even babies get up on Christmas Day with at least a toy or gift. Heck, I'll even go out and get cards for them. So if anyone who's watching this has questions or ideas on what I can do and where I can go next, please hit it up in this comment section, or head on over to TikTok and Angry Plumber 84 or Angry Plumber 36 would be much appreciated. And once again, I do say I apologize that there's been no podcast for the last 2 weeks. It's been a bit hectic. Things have been happening in the background that obviously I can't control and I can't take into effect, and I didn't want to come on here and be fake and have to just sit there and think, oh, I'm going to talk about this, I'm going to talk about that, because this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month and Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. Now, there is a growing concern just now on breast cancer because, yeah, it's predominantly female, but males are starting to be affected by breast cancer as well. Now, cancer does affect me, but it also affects my daughter, and I don't really bother or care what happens to me, but I care and I bother 100% of what happens to her on her treatment. So the last thing I would want would be for my daughter to wake up on Christmas Day feeling that she didn't have anything, also while fighting this terrible illness. No kid should have to fight it. And they're so resilient, kids. They're resilient to the fact that they show us adults up. Like I said, because it's Cancer Awareness Month, I've got friends and family members who have the breast cancer bad gene, and it seems to affect the family members in my family who don't have FAP and Lynch. So I've got FAP and Lynch, my daughter's got FAP and Lynch, my mum had FAP, her mum had FAP, and her brother had FAP, and sadly they were no longer with us. But the people who didn't have FAP or Lynch got the bad gene that made it sure that they would either have to have a double mastectomy or a hysterectomy, sorry about saying that wrong, to make sure that their chances of either getting like that type of cancer were very low. Now, because I wasn't affected by it and my daughters won't be affected by it, I have not ignorantly stayed away from researching it, but I was just getting my head around the fact that my daughter would have had the one I passed on to her, because as a parent, you all know the first thing you want to do is protect your child. So the last thing I ever thought would I'd have to tell my daughter, I've gave you this. So I was thinking, I don't want to be looking into another one in case, God forbid, touch wood, that I need to say that again. But it would come out that if you've got the one, you haven't got the other. So you could say my family's jinxed. People don't even touch me anymore because they think if they do, they're going to end up happening something to them, which is terrible. It's a shame. But yep, that's how I'm so staunch on helping cancer patients. We do our emergency plumbing every year and emergency call outs and refurbs when we can, and that is why. So I just want to give you a little insight to why I do these appeals and why I do like the refurbishments, is because it gives me a sense of purpose and a sense that I can do something without asking for money. I could do something without being asked to do it. Now, if someone asks me to do it and it's a genuine one, I'll help them. But I just feel that there is too many people now on a particular day of the particular month of the particular year using that time to glorify or to look good. If you're going to do something, talk about it every day. Talk about it till the cows come home. Now, the other charity I mentioned was the HIV charity. I told you it was close to home. So growing up in Kirton with people with HIV and obviously having a stoma, my mum had a stoma, there was at times where we had nothing. We were getting our house broken into 30, 40 times a year on average. You have to sit in your room and with one single parent about the size of a stamp, she couldn't really do much to these people who were high on drugs, high on drink, screwing your house to get what you've worked for. And yeah, at that time we could have had life home insurance, but my mum was working 2 jobs as it is and didn't have enough money. So for years this went unattended and it was happening all the time. So I'd see people stealing my mum's colostomy bags, and they would be outside plastering it all over the walls, mentioning her name and saying that she's this, she's that with a colostomy bag. So I always thought I didn't want anyone suffering that hurt, that disrespect and that disingenuous people making her feel like that. So I always stood up, and even if the person fought and fight me and battered me, I still, to this day, fight anybody or argue with anybody. And that's why I'm so challenging and so argumentative, because I've been controlled, either tried to be controlled by gangs when I was younger, tried to be bullied when I was younger, and it all just affirmed for me that people are cunts at times. People could be cunts. If you've got something someone wants, they're cunts. Because I've had literally people try to steal trainers and trackies off me at the shops because they were the in thing at the time and their mum couldn't buy them. So for me, that was a big thing growing up. Challenge everybody, be argumentative, because in that way you won't be seen to be a walkover. Now, for years, I let friends walk all over me, and it was stupid, but it won't be happening again. So going back to when it was like the stoma stuff in Kirton and that, I grew up seeing that. Now, my mum was, like I said, built like a side of a stamp. She couldn't fight off anybody, but she gave it her all, man. She tried to take a row of lying. So she used to go about going mental. I used to go to the shop and the guy would nudge my brother. My mum would be doing there smashing the shop up, saying, "Don't you fucking touch me, son. Who do you think you are?" Blah, blah, blah. Again, back in the day. And got to the point where my mum wasn't well known in Kirton by this time. So her and her friends and my aunties used to just like go out on nights out and stuff. Stuff they used to do in the 90s and stuff, the early 2000s, actually go out and enjoy themselves. That funny thing of going out without a mobile phone. So I used to do that. And then obviously the house breaking in started. That all went on. My mum got with a very popular guy who's a stepdad. For all the years we had him alive, he was a stepdad. And I find it amazing that for 6 months on social media, I was talking to my stepbrother and I couldn't even remember him because I'm on that much medication and we were that young that I was like, you look like this person. And he was that person. But his dad was a very well-known person in Kirton, and they got to the point where my mum's house was getting robbed at the start of their relationship. The police said to my mum, "Oh, we heard you're with that person. We won't be able to do anything. So maybe if you speak to him, there'll be more chance of you getting your equipment back." So that was after Christmas. So you would wake up and you'd have stuff and then it gets stolen from you. So you're working for nothing. But we weren't in care at that time. We weren't going into respite care at that time. This was when we were 13, 14 and stuff. You know, we were rebelling, we were little terrors. And I was going through well, not an area, but I was going through a time where I was an arsonist. I was diagnosed an arsonist, and every fire that happened in Kirton from 1992 to 2002, I set every single one of them. And I was made to sit at the hospital, I was made to sit at the fire station on bonfire nights and everything because I couldn't light fires. But all that just reaffirmed me that I wanted to help people. When I was thinking back about it, when I was at the hospital with my daughter, because I was like, what is going on here? I used to be a little shit and I had everything I wanted. And you got these kids who are perfect children and they don't deserve it and they never asked for it. No one asks for it, but especially an innocent child doesn't ask for it. So I thought, what could I do to even just a little bit of joy, even on Christmas Day, just go around with a couple of gifts for each child who's in there, who's going to wake up with nothing, and just give them something and see that smile on their face. Because let's face it, hospital food is crap. And the turkey that you get in there, Bernard Matthews probably gives back. So I was just thinking, like, let's do something here. And I was speaking to the wife when I got back, and she was like, "Oh, why not start your Christmas toy appeal again?" I was like, "No, what? I'm going to do that." So I uploaded the first video, and it was amazing. The feedback and even slight criticisms that we got about what doing and where to go and stuff was amazing. And I can't thank everybody enough. There's stuff coming out today. We've hit with targets. I will be doing a weekly upload on here to let you guys know and show you what's happening. If anybody who's watching this wants to come out and help or wants to be like a pickup area or a drop-off area, please just message on this video or follow me on TikTok and message me privately. Anything, absolutely anything. It doesn't need to be new toys. As long as it's in good condition, it's more than welcome. I will put the links in the description area of here, and also as well the links to the charities, the head of the charities, like World AIDS Day, cancer and Barnardos. But I can't stress enough, we will be using local offices and people, so I know that it stays local. And if we do go further afield, we will be seeking each individual office in that area to see if they could point us in the right direction of finding people. And going on to the next podcast, we have got a guy who not only is breaking stigmas, he's breaking records and everything. He's an amazing guy. I'm not going to mention his name yet, but we will hopefully get it out over this weekend, maybe to the start of next week. But if anybody has any feedback on what I should be doing and what I could be doing or where I could be going, please don't hesitate to get in contact and let me know. We'll see about getting the other podcast up and running, and we are going to do a small series, but I didn't want to go into too much detail tonight, on the simple fact that I've got other things lined up in the future that I want to be an exclusive kind of thing for someone else to help them, because this podcast here just now is normally meant to be light-hearted and fun and stuff. So we're going to get back to that straight after this update. It sounds like a news update, doesn't it? Straight after this update, and we will get a creator, and not just a creator, the man behind the accounts. And we're going to be looking to get back on Richie Jones as well for a part 2. Anybody you guys and girls think who should be on this podcast, and they don't need to be a creator, they could be any type of person. Next, we are going to be talking about addictions coming up soon, gambling, narcotics, well, drugs, and possibly alcohol, if people feel like they want to talk about that. But I feel like I maybe shouldn't be talking about that in Sober October, because it makes me feel like I'm only using Sober October to bring that up. So I will talk about that at a later date. Also, as well, in November, we'll have to remember we've got November Remembrance Day. So I will be bringing someone, hopefully, on from my personal life, who's a veteran and who's an amazing lady. And she'll be talking, hopefully, about her personal life and leaving the army and the armed forces to now, to the success that she's built now. And hopefully she inspires people with her talk. And that's from my own personal life. That's not a massive creator or anything. This is just what I see as a successful young lady who has fought adversity. And if anybody thinks that they want a lady on this podcast who they think represents their needs and was going to talk about what is important to them, I will talk to anybody, guys. Anyone I would talk to. I've got an amazing friend who will be coming on as well. She'll be talking about all matters of subjects. So we will be also following other podcasts and they guys and see what they're doing and getting them on and asking them questions and stuff. So it's going to be a colourful month and a half ahead. And then also the updates on Christmas. So sorry for rambling on for so long, guys, but let's crack on. Have a brilliant Friday night. I'll see you over the weekend, and ta-ta for now. Ooh.